This is going to be a quick, fun, and colorful exercise, I'm just going to call it background gradient. Because those are like two of the major things we'll look at, but we'll also look at the if and the elif statement. Anyways, if you guys could go ahead and add a comment, hashtag background gradient, and let's go ahead and save this baby as well while we're at it. Save as background gradient. Make sure you save it so that you can show it to me later, and especially if for some reason you don't finish it before the end of class, it would be kind of silly for you to have to start it all over again next class. Anyways, hit save. All right, so let's go ahead and begin to write the code. We're going to start off with, just to remind you, a lot of times exercises will start by setting a background color. Sometimes they'll do it by having a rectangle that fills the entire canvas, and they'll just make that a color. But you can also do app.background equals some color. And that's what we're going to do right now. Now, I'm going to go ahead and hit run so you can see that I've got a black background. And then we're going to write some code to what we want to do is we want to respond to any mouse movement by the user of our program. And so we'll define the function on mouse move, and this time we'll use mouse x comma mouse y, just like many CMU exercises do. And then we're going to check for a few things. We're going to start off with if mouse x is less than 100. Then we will set the app background equal to, and I just want to, as long as I'm taking you through how to use an if and an elif, I thought, why not go back and refresh your memory about things like app.background and on mouse move, and also gradients and RGB colors. So we will. So we're going to make a gradient. And that gradient we're going to start off with as a color, black. And then we'll go, well, when you do a gradient, you can have multiple colors. But I'd like to remind you that an RGB is a color. So I'm going to put in an RGB. By the way, RGB stands for red, green, and blue. So you got to give 3 numbers, 1 for the red, 1 for the green, and 1 for the blue. So I'm going to give 0, 255, 0, and essentially all that is just green. If you want to experiment around with different RGB colors, you're welcome to, but that is just green. And then for our final color, we'll do orange. And that's pretty much it. Let's go ahead and run this and see if it works. I'm going to go ahead and hit run. You'll notice it says if mouse x is less than 100. Well, if I go and I turn the grid on, if you remember, the top tells us the x values and the bottom tells us the side tells us the y values. So x is less than 100 will be somewhere between here and here, all up and down the grid. So if I move my mouse over here, I get nothing, but if I move my mouse to where x is less than 100, all of a sudden I get a beautiful background. Yay! Now, we're going to do a similar thing with this code several times. So let's go ahead, go up to the beginning of the first line, which is with the if, hold the shift key and down arrow twice to select, then Control C to copy, or if you're on a Mac, Command C. Then down arrow and Control V, Control V, Control V. Okay, now we're going to go in and we're going to make it so that we get a different color depending on where the mouse is to the left and the right of the canvas. So we're going to check to see if mouse x is less than 200, and then 300, and then 400. And then let's go in and change these colors around. So we'll start off with a blue this time. And then our second color will be not an RGB, it'll just be a green. And then for our third color, we will do RGB, but this time we'll do the last 2 numbers will be 255, 255. So that means we'll have both green and blue mixed together, whatever that turns into. And then for the next one, the third one, we'll start with an RGB. I just want to give you guys a feeling for how you can experiment around with gradients and RGBs. Let me actually, since I already got this one written, I'm just going to go RGB, and we'll do 0, 255, 0. And then I'll leave orange as my color here, and then comma. Let's put in 2 RGBs this time. This next one will be 0, 0, 255. And you'll notice that there's 2 parentheses at the end here. There is because there's one for the RGB and one for the gradient. Same with this guy, but not up here. Okay, so anyways, I'm going to go ahead and, let's leave that, and then let's go and do this last one. We'll start with black, and then we will go, let's make it red, 255, and then we'll put in a 0. And then the last color will be orange, and I think that'll be good. Now, if you go ahead and hit run, and then you move the mouse from the left to the right, what'll happen is we'll get that first gradient. And as I keep moving my mouse across, for some reason, it seems like things never change. Very strange, right? Well, here's the problem, is that because these are all ifs, what happens is that when the mouse is anywhere on the canvas, it's always less than 400. So no matter what happens here, or here, or here, this guy is going to run last, and it's going to change the background color to whatever this is. So that's really what's happening. And by the way, that happens right from the get-go. As soon as we move onto the canvas, we're at mouse X is less than 400. So immediately we get this last guy. So if we want the colors to change, we got to make it so that only one of the ifs can occur. And the way we do that is we make them into one big group, or one big elif structure. And that's a phrase that you should know. And so I'll do it. And what'll happen is it'll make it so that that whichever one of these is the first one that turns out to work, or turns out to be true, that's the one that we'll get the background for, and then nothing else. So I'm going to go ahead and hit run. And I'm going to go ahead and start from the left side and move my mouse over the canvas. And you see I'm less than 100, and I've got black in the center and orange on the very edges. I'm going to keep moving until I get to X is greater than 100. When I do, now I've got blue in the center and green next, and then whatever that last RGB is. I'm going to keep moving the mouse to the right, and all of a sudden now I've got whatever RGB 0, 255, 0 is in the center. That should be green, right? And then on the end, I've got RGB 0, 0, 255, which is blue. So the corners are blue. And if I keep moving to the right and get to be greater than 300, but still less than 400, finally I get that background at the end. And now if I move back to the left, they switch back again. So now I've got this really cool capability here, and I'm not sure what you'll do with it, but I just wanted to take you through some of the stuff we're learning and put it together in a way where you would have a chance to just follow along with me, and hopefully maybe by seeing me play around with it, maybe you'll begin to understand how it works. And by the way, if you really want to make it your own, go in there and change some stuff around and see how it works. Like, for instance, would it be different if I made all of these into greater than symbols instead of less than symbols, you know? Or what if the numbering started at the top with 400 and at the bottom with 100? You know, what's the difference? I'm kind of curious myself. I'm going to hit run. I'm going to go over here this way, and oh, look at that. When I have all greater than symbols, look, it doesn't work at all. Wow, interesting. I'm going to go ahead and hit run again, and let's go ahead and change those back. I don't think there will, excuse me. I don't think it'll be a big deal if we put in less than or equal to. I don't think you'll hardly see any difference. But I guess I'll leave it at that for now. All right, folks, play around with it, make it your own, make sure you save it, and then make sure you show it to me so that I can give you credit for doing work during class. I hope you enjoy. Take care.